Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ian. This is Bailey Built, where I am building this 1975 Chevrolet C10 frame-off build right here in my garage. On this episode, we're going to be installing the Boyd gas tank. This will be the final install of the tank, and we're also going to be doing the rack and pinion. Had a little bit of rust on the input shaft of the rack and pinion, so we're going to remove some of that rust. I'm going to show you how I did that, and we're also going to install that. So stay tuned, let's roll the clip. I'm back on the Boyd rear mounted fuel tank, and I have the tank sitting right here on my cart. So here's what I'm up against. I've been trying to figure out the mounting for this Boyd tank. When I bought this tank, there was no option to get a mounting kit for it. So I recently tried to contact Boyd. There's no number to call them. You could submit any questions on their website to get answers. They haven't responded, but while I was on their website, they have this frequently asked questions, and under the frequently asked questions on their website, they do answer the question about mounting a tank to the truck. And they also now have this downloadable PDF of how you should be mounting this tank to your truck. And what it says here in this diagram is there's this mounting bolt and nut, and there's a rubber, some type of rubber gasket in here. They have this rubber depicted as an entire piece that sits on top of the mounting flange on the tank. So here's my mounting flange, and they're showing to have a piece of rubber here. Apparently now they actually sell a mounting kit for it, which is a bracket with two threaded studs that would sit inside your frame rail, and the two studs would come down through some rubber, through the mounting brackets, and then you can put the nuts on. So I did not buy that mounting kit, and right now I want to get it mounted, and I don't really have time to wait for shipping to get their mounting set up. So this is what I'm going to do. I've already pre-drilled some holes. Right now these holes are tight for the bolt that I'm going to use, the nut and bolt that I'm going to use. They're already tight. I'm going to open up this hole slightly. What I want to avoid is I'm driving the truck and I go into a parking lot and the frame twists a bit. I want to allow some movement or flex so that I don't crack any welds or dent the tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up these holes ever so slightly to allow some type of movement. If the bolt is really tight in this hole and the bolt is really tight on the frame, you can see how this is going to almost be like, it's going to be real rigid to the frame and not allow for any movement. I live in San Joaquin County, and in my county there is a company or a store called Capital Rubber. I was able to go over there, and this is the only place I could find it. I found they sell rubber there. They actually had a scrap piece that I picked up from them, and I'm going to cut this down into basically two rectangles, and I'm going to cut the holes for the mounting locations in this rubber, essentially making a rubber gasket that will sit on top of these two flanges. Then I'm going to be using this bolt right here with a lock nut, and I'll be putting my bolt down through the frame with a washer, through the rubber, and through this mounting flange, and then I'm going to put my lock nut and a washer underneath. Anyhow, I hope some of this helps. These are just some of the things that I had to kind of deal with and figure out, not just mount the tank into the frame without considering slight movement of my frame and how it would affect this beautiful gas tank. So I want to make sure that the installation is done properly. So this is what I chose. Okay, so I have the Boyd fuel tank mounted back into the frame rails of my C10. And this is what you can see right here, down here at the bottom. I added that rubber right here. And what I did is I cut the rubber pads to size, and then I basically marked the holes and cut a hexagon shape. What that did is I was able to then put the bolt down through the frame rail, and the rubber isolating pad went onto the bolt, and since I cut a hexagon shape, the bolt was held into place just simply by this rubber, which allowed me to just take a floor jack, lift up my Boyd gas tank, get the holes lined up, and then put the lock nuts and final washer on. That's what it looks like. Let's see if I get a better picture, like down here. Gotta say, it's looking pretty good. Okay, let's talk about my rack and pinion. A while back, while my truck was in storage, midway through the mock-up process, my truck was in a storage and there was a lot of moisture. I got a lot of rust on both my rack and pinion and also on my front end suspension. I'm about ready to put this rack and pinion bolted onto the finished front end, and before I do that, I need to address a lot of this rust that's happened around here. Try to scoot it up close to the camera. It's quite a bit of rust. It's been recommended to use this Loctite rust dissolver. I've never used this product before, but if you look, they're selling it at the Home Depot and Lowe's, the home improvement box stores. I want to try some of this. I read the instructions. I'm supposed to spread this stuff on with a brush, which I have right here, spread it on there, and then once I let that sit for about 5 to 10 minutes, I rinse it off with water, which I plan to do with this spray bottle full of water. If there's any more rust left over, you would just apply another round of the Loctite rust dissolver to finally remove the surface rust that's on there. Let's try this out. Oh, it's pink. Didn't even think to shake it up. It's pretty thick, it's sticking to my brush pretty good. I'm able to get, a good amount onto the brush and then wipe it on to the rusted areas. If you've noticed, I also put some masking tape around the base of this input shaft for this rack and pinion, and I did that because on the directions it does say not to get this on paint. It will dissolve that and other powder coating and things like that. So there's this rubber portion right here. I certainly don't want to irritate that, or I don't want this product to eat away at that. So I just put some tape down so I can avoid that. Okay, I'm happy with that right there. So what we'll do is we'll let that sit for 5 to 10 minutes and let's see what happens. See if this product is, if it actually does what it says. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes now, so let's go ahead and let's rinse it off and see what kind of results we get. I think I'm just gonna rinse it, and all that extra stuff will just fall back into my garbage can. Okay, so this is where we're at right now. It's taken off quite a bit of rust, a lot from here. I can see a lot's been removed from these grooves. This was all real closed up with rust. It hasn't really, I know it's attacked this a lot, but it's not quite there yet. I'm gonna try another round of this. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. I can definitely see quite a bit of rust still in the teeth here. I got a little bit of rust still in this groove here. A lot of it's gone. All right, this time I'm gonna let this sit for 10 minutes, but instead of it just dripping down to the actual body of the rack and pinion, I'm just gonna turn this like this. There we go. That way it doesn't just drip down to here. Just drip back into my garbage, which is fine. This, hopefully this might help. Let's wait another 10 minutes and we'll get back to it. All right, let's check it out. Okay. A lot of that surface rust has been removed. A lot of it. Okay, let's see what I'm seeing. I still see just a little bit in some of these grooves. And on the tip right here, it's removed a lot the first round. It's removed a lot more on the second round. I can start to see the metal here. I just think maybe if I just did another third round or fourth round, I can actually get that cleaned up. So right now I'm feeling pretty happy about that product. It's actually really doing what it says it does, you know? And, you know, as a car builder, that's kind of what you need. You need products that do what they say they do. Let's put the third coat on, okay, in these last areas that really need it, which is definitely the tip, okay, and these grooves. Man, that's like all this rust that was right here. It's like back to shiny metal. To sum things up, the boys' gas tank went in well. I really like the way I've got it bolted in, and having those rubber isolator pads on the flanges of the fuel tank, I think is a plus, and I really like the way I've got that bolted in. I feel confident with that. Very happy with the rack and pinion, getting that cleaned up, wiped down, and installed for the final build. I gotta tell you, this thing is looking fantastic. And that's gonna wrap up this video right here. I'm really happy with getting the Boyd gas tank installed the way I did and finding that rubber that I needed. The rack and pinion, I'm very happy to get that in and get the rust off. So I definitely recommend the rust remover that I used. Try it out if you happen to get any kind of surface rust in any kind of parts. Until then, let me keep building. I'll keep recording these videos so you can see me get this truck finally to a car show.